Hello everyone, and today we're going to take a look at the state of SWTOR in 2023. It is June, it is halfway through the year, so we thought we might as well do this video. And we might as well start with the big news then, and that is of course that SWTOR is no longer going to be developed by Bioware, or at least it's going to be shifted away from Bioware, and it is going to a development studio called Broadsword. Is it Broadsword Online? It's going to. And I guess it's going into maintenance mode, is what we can deduce from that. Because the other two games that Broadsword look after are Ultimate Online and Dark Age of Camelot, and they don't really get that many updates, to be honest. I think it is just being kind of slowly sunsetted. It's not being... SWTOR isn't going anywhere for its immediate future, and BioWare, I think, will probably still be developing the game at least for the rest of this year, because patch, what is it, 4.7 it is that's coming out. The next two major content patches at least are going to be, is it 4. I can't remember where we are with the 7.4, sorry. 7.4, that's what it is. I got the numbers mixed up there, but yeah, so the next two content updates are going to be done by BioWare, and that's probably, or BioWare Austin at least, and that is going to be the last, I'm guessing the last update. The next two updates are scheduled for between September and December, which is quite a wide variety. That's why I say probably the rest of 2023. And then it'll move over. So what came out as part of this release? So it says currently roughly 70 to 80 people are part of the core development team, Star Wars: The Old Republic. It says more than half of whom are expected to move to Broadsword. Those remaining with EA will have an opportunity to look for other roles elsewhere in the company, but may otherwise face layoffs. So the reason why they did this is they wanted BioWare to focus on Dragon Age and Mass Effect. I think overall it's a good idea to get BioWare away from live service games. They haven't really worked out. BioWare, I mean, let's be honest, they haven't made a good game for well over a decade now. Mass Effect 3, the last decent BioWare game, really. Dragon Age Inquisition wasn't very good. It was just an MMO design-wise without the multiplayer, really. That was what the single-player felt. It wasn't so much an open-world RPG. It was more of a closed-world RPG because you couldn't wander around the open world. Areas were segregated off into level brackets, which for a single-player game I never liked, to be honest with you. I never liked Dragon Age Inquisition. Mass Effect Andromeda was a disaster. The less we say about Anthem, the better. And SWTOR has been there. 2011, SWTOR launched at the end of 2011. And it has survived for quite a long time. But it has taken a noticeable downturn in quality. Particularly after 4.0, after, what was it called? Knights of the Eternal Throne. Or was it? No, Knights of the Fallen Empire. Knights of the Fallen Empire. 5.0 was Knights of the Eternal Throne. 4.0 was Knights of the Fallen Empire. I get confused because they're kind of the same, aren't they? They're very, very similar. But anyway, I think that, yeah, SWTOR, people say SWTOR is a dead game. I would disagree. I would say SWTOR is a zombie game. And I don't mean that in the sense of it's got zombies in it. Well, it does have rat ghouls in it. They are technically the Star Wars equivalent of zombies. I would say it's kind of dead, but it's just wandering around aimlessly, waiting to be put out its misery. I would class that as a zombie game. Rift is another example of a zombie game. Doesn't really get updates. It's kind of in maintenance mode. That went over to GameAgo. So at least it didn't go to GameAgo, I suppose. EA at least have sent it to Broadsword, I guess. EA they're going to still be publishing it, but their exclusivity license runs out this year. Remember, they signed a 10-year exclusivity license for Star Wars back in 2013, and that was a 10-year license, so it's 2023, so we'd expect that to come to an end. Although there is supposedly a Ubisoft open world game in development. I mean, it will probably be the same as every other Ubisoft game, because Ubisoft games, yeah, they're generally the same. Ubisoft open world games are the most generic. But, that tends to be the future, although MMORPGs are really just going. They're really going out of fashion, and I would probably say they've probably gone out of fashion. We haven't seen that many in the last few years. We had New World from Amazon Games, and we had Lost Ark had been around for a while, but it got a Western release recently. But there's not that many games. There's another Lord of the Rings MMO in development at Amazon, but that'll take years to develop. And you've got Lotro in the meantime, which is still going strong, and you've got quite a few games, but nowadays it tends to be live service, multi-platform console games. The traditional PC MMO, as we know it, is it's pretty much gone. There's World of Warcraft still around. Final Fantasy 14, although it does have a console version, it's still a traditional MMO. But we're kind of seeing the end of the traditional MMO era. People just don't have the patience for MMOs. And I did play SWTOR. I did try a new character during the double XP, and I did level up. And I found the game just to be really bland nowadays. I think SWTOR it really is outdated. And yes, we have had updates this year that have been positive. I think the 64-bit update was good. I think, having playing a new character and going through the world, performance was pretty good, I thought. It was pretty nice. It's still not perfect, but it was reasonable. It has improved. The 1% lows and the 0.1% lows generally really improved. The stuttering has not been eliminated, but it is a lot better now. I haven't tried PvP though. That's where it was at its worst. But doing flashpoints and traversing the open world, performance is pretty good, and that's a good thing. The only thing we'd like to see is a DirectX 11 client. I think would be pretty good for the game. I think that would be pretty reasonable. So is it good news? I mean, it's never good news when when a developer is taken off a project. Generally, it's just handed over to. So it looks like it's going to be a smaller team. They said half the team from Bioware Austin, at least, will be transferring over to Broadsword. But does that mean half the team is going to be working on it? The 70 to 80, is that going to be reduced to 40? At best guess, and considering the output that we got from the 70 to 80 people, I think we're done with big updates or small updates, even so-called expansions. 7.0, I think, came from developers that just didn't care, and that was the impression I got from 7.0. I did a review on the Legacy of the Sith, and my conclusion was it was a lack of care and attention. That was my summary of it. And I stand by that summary. I think there was a real lack of care and a lack of attention given to that expansion, and a huge lack of content, really. Everything else is there. And SWTOR, I think, is just depressing now. I think that is my ultimate impression. That was leveling. It's very bland. SWTOR used to be a story-driven game. It used to be all about its story. Nowadays, it's just about systems, isn't it? You've got the PvP seasons, you've got the galactic seasons, you've got the login rewards. It's just filling up bars, it feels like. That's what it feels like now. It's very bland, very, very soulless. I just don't see the point in leveling. I've said for years, leveling needed an overhaul, and you've got level 80 is the level cap, and it's just too many levels in the game. They should have done what World of Warcraft did and lowered the level cap. I mean, what is the point in increasing it every expansion? I doubt they'll increase it anymore. But the problem is with level 80 is you go maybe 5-6 levels without getting anything. Every time you level up, your character gets worse because the stat cap goes up and you have to upgrade gear. And because of the level sync system, you're not doing any more damage. You end up just leveling up does you less damage. Like, I was level 18 on Coruscant, and I think it caps out at like level 15, 16, and I was like level 23 when I left Coruscant, and between level 18 and 23, I gained nothing. All my character did was get worse, because the stat caps increased, and my crit percentage went down, and my haste went down, and that was, it's not fun. I think that they really They really need to overhaul the leveling system. I would suggest get rid of it because it's kind of an arbitrary number. Just replace it with a campaign. That's what I would have said. Have the first 2 planets be a campaign, and the campaign ends when you get your starship. Now, that doesn't mean the story ends. You can go and continue the class story. You can do all the planetary stories, but I think when you got your starship, that would have been a good point to say, right, this is the end of the campaign. You've got all the abilities in the game, but we're going to use the first 2 planets, the starter planet and the capital planet. We're going to use them as a tutorial to teach you how to play your class. And I think that would be much better than just leveling up to get no reward, really. Every time you complete a quest, which you have to do to progress the thing, you got like a new ability and the game explained it better to you. I think that would have been so much better to do. It's probably not going to happen now that it's just in maintenance mode. We'll probably just get, small updates, maybe some events. They like to cycle the events, but we haven't had a significant update. Again, 7.0 was not an expansion, really. They make a lot out of, the expansion is free. It's free because it's worthless. That's why. You couldn't sell it. Not even EA could sell that expansion. Imagine trying to sell your 7.0 for any kind of money. It would be ridiculous. You'd never get it sold. And that's why it was free, because it's worth nothing, really. Barely worth your subscription, to be honest with you. So I guess I'll stay subscribed to SWTOR, but I think we'll just see Galactic Seasons and, maybe another season thing, another season pass. That's where we are now with SWTOR. It's just a generic season pass sort of game. And yeah, it was kind of sad and depressing to play SWTOR again because it's just so bland and so generic nowadays. I didn't have fun leveling at all. I was leveling a Guardian. I tried tank and then went to DPS because I got bored of being a tank. It takes like 20 minutes to kill anything, and that was even worse when you leveled up because your defense and your shield and your absorb went down whenever you leveled up. So you were actually you were squishier as a tank, which was pretty bad, I guess. I mean, yeah, level sync is great when you're at end game because it lets you do all the older content again, and it lets you go back and do some of the planetary content if you want to do. But level sync while leveling, it's pretty awful, to be honest. You usually level well past the level of the planet, and then you have to do quests, and you have to do, the story quest. You have to at least get your starship before you get any freedom. But I think that, it's just a sad shell of the game it used to be, at least. Since 4.0 is when it really took a dive. And, it was fine that they went down the story quest route, but the story quest was really bad, and the story wasn't very good after 4.0. It felt like SWTOR was at its best when it told individual class stories, but they were never going to keep that up for expansions. So they tried to roll it into an all-in-one kind of story, but it just never really worked out. So is it the end of SWTOR? Would I be sad if it ended? I'm kind of sad now that it exists. So yeah, I would just be happier if it just went out of its misery. It's better to have the memories. It's better that it goes away and we miss it than you kind of get fed up with it and, it dies. Because it's pretty sad and pretty depressing now as a game. It's just a bland, soulless affair now. And it is neglect from Bioware over the years. I always said that leveling needed an overhaul, and I always said that they could have done more. Certainly. So it is maybe getting some fresh eyes on the project might rekindle it, but I am pessimistic for the future. But yeah, I mean, if it went, I probably wouldn't miss it that much, because to be honest, I played SWTOR on and off for at least the past 7 years, mostly, or more the past 6 years at least anyway. Since about 2017, I haven't really played full-time. And back to playing full-time last year, and again, we talked about the gearing issues and things like that in my 2022 State of SWTOR video. I'm not going to go over that again. It's just, the video is obviously going to be dominated by the news. This video was going to be pretty different if we did it a week ago, but it is going to get dominated by, Bioware, be it getting the helm taken away from them, But to be honest with you, they brought it, you know, they brought the game down over the past, 11, 12 years that it's been around. And you can't keep failing with that. And again, I said that 7.0 was just made by people that didn't really care about the game or didn't really think the game had a future, because it felt like they just put in the minimum effort. They were just there for a paycheck, really, which is disappointing, really, because, you know, we did used to love SWTOR, and it is sad to see it in the current state that it's in. But maybe we'll give Broadsword a chance. I think we should give them a chance, at least, to see what they can do. But I am, again, very, very realistic, to say pessimistic, because generally when these MMOs get punted around, they're just put into maintenance mode and they're kept alive. So SWTOR does make enough money to, if it didn't make enough money for EA, they'd have shut it down. So it clearly makes enough money. It just is not worth investing in its future. But they, you know, they want to keep it alive just so they can milk the Star Wars name. It feels like it's a bit like Disney, really, and the sort of wider Star Wars franchise. It's a good kind of, it's a good, you know, microcosm of Disney and how they treat the Star Wars license. But anyway, so there we go. So let me know what you think about, you know, SWTOR losing or SWTOR changing developer. Is it a good thing? Will it be a bad thing? Who knows? Time will tell in the end. But anyway, that is all for this video. So thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.